Welcome on in, everybody. Welcome to Casters and Cantrips Out of Combat, our podcast that we're going to do after the episodes that we stream. We are going to be talking about episode 69.
Nice.
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 My name is Moobs from the GGN crew, and I'm joined by Mac and Cheese, please, who plays Vin, and the amazing, incredible, talented DM Maximus Rake.
Thank you, sir.
What's going on, everybody?
That was an intense episode.
It was.
We defeated a vampire.
Yeah.
I did not expect the fight to go away it did, because I thought when he encountered us in the catacombs where his coffin is or tomb is, I was like, all right, this is happening.
Yep.
This is perfect because it's very enclosed areas. Probably not perfect for Vin for fireballs, but then he kind of just pieced out.
Moved. I know, and I was about to summon my dragon there and be like, "Dragon, bitch!" But I didn't do that. I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I waited.
Well, yeah, and for me, if this guy's like a vampire lord, right? Way above normal vampire spawn, like he's gonna fight you when he wants to fight you, right?
Sure.
So he knew y'all, as far as he knew, y'all weren't gonna do anything with his tomb there. You were below that, so he's like, I'll fight you where I want to fight you. I'll set a trap for you. So he's like, I got better plans.
Well, if the stun was successful, would that change the situation, or would he still try to escape and we still have to climb up the tower?
I think that it's a good question, because you have to think that if you're like a noble in the first place and then a vampire lord, however that happened, if you stun them, there's a bit of ego at play there, right? Val can slapping him around a little bit and him slapping back and just saying, okay, yeah, whatever. That's one thing. I'll fight you when I feel like it. But hit stunning, that may have been a different story.
Oh, so
It was intense.
Yeah, so you would have thought like because of the ego, he would say, "Oh, how dare you!" and where this is going now.
Yeah, because it's probably a game time decision that I would have made if he ended up stunning him. But if I was a vampire lord and someone stunned me, I'd be like, "How dare you, bitch! Like, let me show you what I can do now. You done did it."
A little spiteful. You're like, get your filthy paws off me.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, evil, spiteful, all of it for sure.
I think I was really excited because this was the first fight that I got to actually spawn my dragon, and no one knew that I had it. So I DM'd Max and I was like, "Can I have a dragon, please?" And so he was like, "All right, what do you want to name it?" Like, we went through this whole thing, and I've been sitting on this dragon. I'm not even kidding, probably for like 10 plus episodes since the last time we leveled. Was how long I've had this dragon and just how long we've been on like out of like intense combat.
Yeah, because that spell requires a pretty high dollar item in order to summon it, and it doesn't use it, but you need it. And she got that item way back in Emberholm from the other sensei when you went to visit her and gave her that little token. So she's had it forever.
Yes.
Oh, because I thought I missed out on something, because when I was on vacation, you guys did the tournament, and when I listened to the podcast to catch up, you talked to Zunde, and I thought but Max didn't say anything, so I was like, so when you summoned the dragon, I was like, what is happening? Did I miss something? I kind of like roll back to my mind if this was a secret or not. So I was super surprised.
Yeah, it was a secret that only Max and I knew, which was really exciting for like the first time. I got to like, yeah. But how did you feel as Ron when you had to hit Vin and like strike her?
I was hoping that the love that Ron has for Vin was so powerful it would overwrite the spell and stop him, but yeah, I didn't think that was gonna happen. I wasn't sure what spell it was specifically, but I loved how Max worded, like when the vampire worded specifically to tell Ron to take care of, and I'm doing air quotes for people who are listening.
Oh yeah,
take care of Vin. That he's not aware that Ron doesn't understand idioms or phrases. So I thought that was perfect. I was like, oh, this is great, because then I won't hurt Vin because he told me to take care of her.
Yeah.
Well, and I thought you were going to do it a second time, because I think the second phrasing was like I forgot exactly what it was, but you were you have Mimi in your possession and you're caring for Mimi as well. So I thought maybe you would like, oh, I have Mimi on me, I'll set her loose. Like, okay, you know.
Yeah, I was confused when you DM'd me that. I was like, what? I don't understand. It was like,
yeah, I was like, oh, this phrasing, it works again.
Yeah, so you were he was very specific at the end, where the vampire was like, no, yeah, I want you to kill her. So I was like, well, okay, there's no misunderstanding that. So yeah, it was not, it was very, very difficult for Ron. So I don't know if maybe under this, you said it was dominate person?
Yes. So with that particular vampire lord, they were not just a vampire. They were a vampire spellcaster. So that's why they had the other spells that they were casting. So they're a little more powerful than your run of the mill. And when they cast, it was a dominate person, I believe is what it was. That it's a pretty nasty spell to have. And I really like how you weaseled your way out of the first time, because I was being ambiguous on purpose to see, like, to give you some rope to see what you do with it. But then, it's one of those things, you get around on it, and then when he sees what's happening, he's like, I understand now, and basically just said, hey, you got to kill her, no more funny business.
Yeah. I was hoping he would caught on pretty quick the first time around.
Yeah.
Ron is probably not the brightest.
Gave explicit instructions. Speaking of weaseling out, I want to know this, Mac. So when Vin was trying to serve up memories to the Shadar Kai, was that Vin trying to see what she could get by with? Or was that mac and cheese, please, not wanting to hurt her character and hurt Ron's feelings?
So honestly, I really felt for Ron, not wanting to hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, that is way more powerful than a doll. I'm like, okay, you gave me a doll. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was that in my mind trumps everything that I've been through as a character. And when you didn't accept it, I was like, really? What's more than that? And so that's when I came up with the princess thing, because I'm like, well, Vin cares about being a princess more than anything, that's her whole MO is that she's secretly better than everyone, because I play her kind of as a Harley Quinn, but her friends wrangle her in is all right, you're good. Remember, you're good, and then the doll thing, that was another moment that was it's really precious to Vin. And when you had then phrased it, the way it was, honestly, I was going to give up the princess memory, but the way you worded the sentence, it was something along the lines of are you willing to give up your place in the universe? And Vin is selfish, so she's like, fuck no, take the doll. I love myself, you know what I mean? And so had you worded that sentence differently,
interesting,
I probably would have given up the princess a bit.
And I think what happened with Ron having to strike her, and I feel that I agree that's a powerful memory, but it was on the wrong part of the memory spectrum. That's probably that's not a very happy memory. That's a hurtful memory, and that's not what he wants, because pretty much with Shadar Kai, their entire existence is pain, and they don't want more of that. They want the happy stuff to kind of make them feel alive. So
the joy.
Yeah.
Which is why because I thought giving up knowing that I was a princess was fine, because I think that memory came to me in a dream. It was its own thing. It wasn't part of the Babas. But then when you said I would forget the whole Babas stuff, then I was like, this is a huge arc for my character that we haven't even dove into. And I was like, I didn't want to like derail like your plan. So that was a little bit of metagaming right there. Because I didn't want to like derail this whole thing that we've been building up and then just like, oh, well, we're forgetting about it now. And so,
that was, go ahead.
Yeah, that's why I interjected, because we kind of had to speed up the session because we ran over, and then we had to get this arc done because Mac, you're leaving for like 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
So, because we had a week's time of travel, that would have, because Ron felt so bad about hurting Vin, especially like smiting her too, which is like, was like Ron would never, he'd rather die than do that.
You got me down to 20 hit points.
That we would, you know, they would discuss it, and you know, he's like, Ron understands how important this tattoo is for Vin, and he felt so bad that he would be okay with giving up the memory because you would still have the doll. Even if Vin forgot the memory, Ron would still know that. Yeah, you know, Vin is Ron's little girl, even though like Vin aged because of all the wild magic.
Because of wild magic.
Well, what's funny too, and what makes it interesting is, none of Vin's memories were her own. So you had a very short amount of time to pick from. It was the things that you got restored, the couple snippets, or the time in game, because everything before then was all fake. So you had slim pickings on what memories you wanted to lose. You couldn't say that time I went to kindergarten or something and had a great day. Like,
yeah, because something that people don't like, backstory that people don't know about my character is that she pretended to be everybody else. She was never herself ever. And so she doesn't have memories of who she doesn't know who she is because she spent so much time being other people and like trying to fit into society because she's always been an outlander. So
yeah, that's tough because like Max said, Ben has no real memories of her own until just recently. So that ask of picking a cherished memory, that's tough.
It's hard. Yeah, I couldn't just like, that one time my mom held me. Like I couldn't just like do that, you know?
What I thought was interesting too, and I posed this question to you to see what Vin would do, because if she wants power to protect herself from like the other Vinposter and things coming after her, becoming a vampire was a viable thing that could have happened. If you wanted it to, I would have let you go all the way down that path if you wanted.
Yeah, I guess I don't even know what that entails. And in my mind, I'm like, is that going to make travel weird? Like, are we going to have to only travel at night? Am I going to be in a comfort? Like, I just like didn't know what would happen with that. And I was like mac and cheese, please part. And then like Vin part. I'm like, that's too much work. Like, I'm good.
Yeah, it would have been. It's not, I didn't expect it to happen, but I just kind of threw it out there, be like, I wonder what they'll do with this. Maybe they'll take it, maybe they won't.
I almost was like, power, you said?
Oh yeah. It would have been some crazy shit. Let me tell you, it would have changed a lot of things, but it would have been fun. So
if it was super OP, I probably would have took it because that's just who Vin is. Like she's trying, like she's just gonna do whatever she wants. Like she's fully like chaotic neutral. Like she's gonna do what she's gonna do. She doesn't care if it benefits the party. Like if it benefits her, she's like, all right, let's do this.
It would have been way more powerful than that tattoo.
Damn it. Now you tell me.
But there would have been some serious drawbacks with that as well. So that may,
I mean, there's that the session before when Valkan was saying, Ron, if anything happens, and Ron's like, Ron will put you down.
I
think if Vin did choose that power, then Ron wouldn't probably never allow it in the first place.
Yeah, and because you have such a tie to your religion as a character, and I don't know how that would like play in like the D&D world. Like a vampire who I feel like kind of depicts like not religion, you know, like I don't know. And then I wonder how that dynamic between the two characters would have changed.
I think because Ron is Oath of the Ancients paladin. He's not like super holy paladin. He's more like nature paladin.
Sure.
more in tune with like Sylvanas and the nature side of things. Like I'm sure Sylvanas hates undead, but not like as other compared to other gods where undead just are atrocities and abominations. So I think it would have came down to like maybe an eternal struggle for Ron. So like, well, do I choose the right thing to take down Vin and thus I guess making the Black Knight happy and restoring balance, or does Ron care for Vin that much that he would rather just be with you and just forsake everything? I don't know.
Yeah.
It would have to been in the moment. I don't know what Ron would actually done.
That would have been crazy. Like if she took the power and then like the Black Knight comes to you with another like memory or something that like she's too powerful, like take her out now, you know? Because who knows what she would do with that much power? Like she's wild. She's a wild card. You don't know.
Yeah.
It really is up to like Ron and Bryn to like rein her in. Or I feel like Valken he has a little bit of like, I wouldn't say evil's not the right word, but like he tiptoes in darkness as well.
Oh yeah,
like
that's a
good little devil, and then Ron and Bryn are like your two angels.
Yep.
What's also fun to consider too is if you had gone that route and you'd become undead. Think about Ophiar's Asim, the Lich, and how he was afraid of things happening because he is undead. And now that the Orcus, the Demon Lord, is in the picture, who commands undead, that could have been some serious stuff.
He could have commanded. Oh my gosh, that could have unlocked the whole story arc. But it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It would have became an NPC villain, and then you would have to make a new character.
It's just it's fun to think about. Things always can change and go different, but that would have been a very, very different path for sure. It would have
been interesting, like how, and just that's all to show how one decision can change the entire game. Wild.
I have a bone to pick with you, Max.
Yes.
You've given me 2 summon items.
I know.
The first one was my Elder's elemental summon gem, which had some sentimental value. I summoned the golem or the earth elemental, and I think you just banished it, so it did nothing.
I think he tried to banish it, but then lost concentration, and that was the Salon Arcanist down in Emberholm. Yes, I know that happened. They weren't as effective. I honestly feel bad about the Treant for the planar ally.
That was one of my big cards.
Oh no! Maybe you can get like a pity bead back. Something just between the 3 of us and everyone watching.
we killed the vampire, and now a tree grows in its place. So maybe like crazy face stuff happens there. I don't know.
Yeah,
but I just felt, I was like, damn, I had these 2 cool super magic items, and they're like one-time use. So I was like, oh well.
Smoke them if you got them.
Yep.
And I think there too. In my mind, if you had not called out and taunted that vampire lord, he was going to cast blight on your tree, which also doesn't feel good, but saves you from a shit ton of damage.
Okay.
That was his plan, is he had casted blight, and then you sort of mouthed off to him. He's like, okay, maybe you now. So he was going to soak up some damage for you, but in I will say too, it was like just an amalgamation of just bad luck and rolls, because that gust, their intent was to gust you off the tower, was what he wanted. But then you have a Treant who has to walk through it. He's too big and he has to get to him because he can't fit through smaller spaces. Who has a 26 strength, 23 strength, and rolls like a 6 on the die.
Dang.
For gust and gets pushed back. If that hadn't happened, he would have started pounding on the vampire. So it's just bad luck for that roll.
And I wanted to dispel magic but I had already previously used a fireball, and so I knew I only had a couple left, and I was like, man, I was going to get rid of the gust, but I wanted to save like a way big like heavy hitter. If because I mean I've never fought a vampire like that, so like I thought he had a lot of hit points, like more than he had. I thought he had like double or triple. Or maybe we were just hitting really hard the whole time and I just was like zoning. I don't know.
You were hitting really hard, as well as with daylight, keeps them from regenerating.
That's right.
And I will say too, and the only reason I bring it up is in case someone tries to, D&D explain it to me. Technically, daylight doesn't create daylight.
Yeah.
But that rule's fucking stupid. If you cast a spell called daylight, it's gonna create daylight for me. So that's why I just did it, because in my mind, that makes zero sense to me. So
yeah, when I read after I casted the spell, and then I was like, oh, actually, what does the spell actually do? And then I looked it up, and I'm like, oh, what's gonna happen? So I was kind of curious what you were gonna do. So I was very pleased that you pulled the DM card to allow the sunlight damage.
Yeah, it's one of those weird, like, silly things where, like, the spell's called daylight. In my world, you cast daylight, that's what happens. It's kind of like weird stuff where, like, technically a paladin can't smite with their fist, but if you were like, Ron's gonna punch this dude and smite him, I'd be like, hell yeah, please do it.
Yeah, like the rule of cool.
Yeah, don't let mechanics get in the way of that. So,
and I think that's what I really appreciate about you and your DM style is that, like, if you want to do something cool, like, yeah, go ahead and do it, or like you're willing to bend the rules for something that makes sense. And I don't know, I feel like some DMs, like, they just play like too by the rules, where it's like, it's not even fun. You're like, okay, like, what rule are we pulling out today? And so you kind of let us like be our characters within the confines of like, we're not going to overextend that and take advantage of you.
Yeah, and I think if I were to put myself on like the spectrum of like, do whatever you want or like buy the book, I feel like I lean more in the buy the book on some occasions more often than not, because it makes it easier for me to be consistent. But I totally agree with you. Like, if you want to jump on a shark, you want to cast daylight, you want to punch with or smite with your fist, like that's cool. That's fine with me. So
yeah, I didn't know that was even a rule, because yeah, when I wanted to headbutt that dude and smite with it, and you let it happen, I was like, sweet.
It's one of those things, and I'm paraphrasing because I'm not looking at the book right now, but where I think a smite, you have to use a weapon. And it's one of those things where unarmed attacks are weapon attacks, but they're not weapons kind of thing. One of those silly, like, semantic type rules. So.
Nice.
Ooh, all right. Well, I think that was a good first episode.
Yeah,
I think so too.
Out of Combat, episode 1, talking about episode 69.
Nice.
In the books.
And I will say too that if you're watching, or if you've watched the previous episode, if you have any questions, just throw them in the comments, tweet them at us, and if we didn't cover it this time around, we can always cover it next time. So thank you all very much for watching, and we will see you during the next episode of Caches and Cantrips.
When's that going to be, Max?
It is going to be Friday on November the 4th. See you then.
Peace.
Bye.